Hello, everyone. Welcome to another episode of Stalker Team. Stalker Team, you are on to Stalker Team, the Investors Channel. On this episode, we'll be talking about a secret weapon that the US President Trump, actually talked about a few days ago. He called it the Discombobulator. Yes, it's a tongue twister, but this secret weapon actually is going to change the game of play, especially looking at the US hatch quote unquote enemies, the likes of Russia, China, and perhaps a few other non-allied countries to the US. Now, President Trump made a hint about how this secret weapon worked and why it was very, very critical to the quote unquote the success in the arrest and the removal of the former president of Venezuela, Nicolas Maduro. So on this episode, as investors, as shareholders to defense primes like the likes of Raytheon, Boeing, Northrop Grumman, General Dynamics, what does this actually mean? Do we actually know the company behind the Discombobulator? Is this going to shoot up the stock price of the actual company or the defense prime that made this device? Because as described in that hint by President Trump, this weapon is classified. No other country, no other military power or military might has this Discombobulator. So let's jump right in, and if you make it to the end of this video, I'll actually give you a few hints about the likely companies, likely defense primes that might have made this device. Based on my own opinion, you don't have to agree. Of course, every information shared on this channel is for information and education purpose only. Do your due diligence because investment carries risk to your capital. Let's jump right in. So a few days ago, President Trump actually, in a very dramatic way, said there was a secret weapon that actually made the removal of the former president of Venezuela, Nicolas Maduro, what made it possible and successful, quote unquote. President Trump actually referred to it as a classified weapon, and he said no other country has this weapon. In an interview with New York Post, after a few days after this, this attack that actually removed Nicolas Maduro, President Trump said the Discombobulator was actually used to disable enemy equipment. He claimed that he actually even prevented the likes of Russian and Chinese rockets from firing. In a very dramatic way as well, he said they pressed buttons and nothing worked. Now, that was the claim. Looking at the capabilities that was actually described in terms of what this secret weapon actually did in terms of damage to military equipment and also human beings. Report from the White House, the press secretary Caroline Leavitt even alleged that witness account, they described the scene and the situation from a sonic kind of attack or a pulse energy kind of weapon. They reportedly said that it caused a whole lot of disablement of electronic equipment. It caused damage to even human beings. The security guards protecting the former president of Nicolas Maduro, some of them even had nosebleeds, which actually makes it even more scary. And it caused a whole lot of disarray, and that was perhaps why that attack was quote unquote successful. Now, looking at the manufacturer, no one has been able to actually say this is exactly the company behind the Discombobulator, or this is the company that actually developed it in line or alongside some other defense primes or some other software companies, and how this was actually done. The specific manufacturer has not been named, like I said, but actually recent congressional inquiries actually mentioned that a similar energy device was acquired by the Homeland Security Investigation, the HSI, in an undercover operation, and they actually used funding from the Department of War, DOW. Now, as an investor, this rings a whole lot of alarm bells. You don't necessarily know how to actually play any of these, defense primes. Does this actually even make any big deal? Is this device really going to change the game of play? But if you actually look at the description of the damage this device did, of how powerful this was able to actually disable Chinese and Russian missiles from firing and all that, if that is actually true in any way, this actually changed the game of play. And more importantly, as investors, this perhaps could actually be a game changer for some of these defense prime. If you have watched this video to this point, of course, this video and every episode brought to you on this channel is brought to you by stockerteam.com, the platform for retail investors to get coaching guidance on how to build long-term and sustainable portfolio. You can go to stockerteam.com and choose a membership, and we are also planning to launch a brand new website that is going to be a game changer, just like the Discombobulator. And now let's move right on. Now, no one actually knows which of the defense prime is behind this project, this secret weapon, but we can actually go back in time and see which of these defense prime, from the Raytheon to Lockheed Martin to Northrop Grumman, zeroing in on these three major defense prime, which of them could have made this device. And that's what we bring to you on this channel. We actually give you much more research information. So going to the first on the list, we have Raytheon, RTX, Raytheon Technologies, and they are likely to be the leading candidate that actually produced the Discombobulator. So RTX, which is ticker symbol, they are arguably the most probable maker due to their established leadership in high power microwave, which is the HPM, and high energy laser HEL systems. So they have that kind of specialization in non-kinetic defense, weapons that actually use energy rather than bullets to disable electronics. So they actually have that. They have that credibility. Secondly, so they also produce one of these example. A current technology that they have is called the Chimera counter electronic high power microwave extended range air base defense. Chimera, that's actually the full meaning of that. This actually was designed specifically to discombobulate or fry the electronics of incoming missiles and drones. So this particular technology is already owned by the RTX, and Chimera has that opportunity to fry or discombobulate the electronics signal of any incoming missile. So, and the evidence was actually that during the raid in Caracas, where Russian and Chinese rockets did not actually go off because all of the buttons did not work, everything was disabled. This actually perfectly aligned with the RTX microwave technology, which is Chimera, which perhaps disrupted the sensors, circuit boards without physically destroying the launcher. So the launcher was not destroyed, no bullet, no missile was thrown, but actually these things couldn't actually work. The second candidate is Lockheed Martin. Lockheed Martin, they have that also some specialization. So let's look at it this way. If the Discombobulator is a kind of a top secret, as President Trump actually suggests, it might have come from Lockheed, because Lockheed have what we call Skunk Works division. So that division in that company is perhaps one of the most top secret defense kind of departments that produces kind of device. And the specialization of Skunk Works is advanced classified aerospace and electronic warfare integration. So they have that kind of specialization and it's top secret. Lockheed also developed Helios, which is the product out of that specialization, which means high energy laser with integrated optical dazzler and surveillance. While Helios is a laser kind of device, it has extensive experience in dazzling, which is more or less like blinding enemy sensors, which would cause the technical failures described in the raid. So Helios is also a very good candidate to actually be the quote unquote the Discombobulator weapon. So Lockheed, in terms of evidence of this Helios product, Lockheed is the US largest defense contractor, and they often handle the most sensitive black projects that later revealed under catchy or unusual nicknames. So it's also very, very likely that Lockheed actually produced this Discombobulator. Now, the last candidate, and if you have made it to this point, is Northrop Grumman. So Northrop Grumman, they have what we call the sonic or pulsed energy kind of device. Some report from the Venezuelan raid mentioned soldiers experiencing physical symptoms like nausea, nosebleeds, which actually it points to a pulse energy kind of sonic weapons that could actually make this possible. So in terms of that specialization, Northrop Grumman is actually a leader in direct energy maturation, and which has a massive portfolio in electronic attack systems. So which current technology do they have that actually resemble this? They are actually heavily invested in solid state laser technology maturation, which is SSL-TM. They often focus on pulse aspect of energy, which can be tuned to affect both machines and biological targets. So if you look at RTX, you look at Lockheed Martin, and you look at Northrop Grumman, the three of these companies actually are solid candidates for this secret weapon or the Discombobulator. What I'm going to do, which is also a bonus for watching this video up to this point, is to actually look at the stock price of these three defense giants. As their stock price, or the movement in their stock price, has it really reflected anything because of the prowess of the quote unquote success story of this secret weapon? Let's look at something. Let's look at this chart, and I will also let you know what I think in terms of how will I play this if I'm actually positioning myself, especially when this information finally gets out that, oh, it's one of these or is a group of these companies. Join me. So looking at the charts of these three companies, RTX, Northrop Grumman, or Lockheed, you can see that these three companies, they've had a huge rally in their stock price, just between the beginning of January till now, this 2026. You could see that Lockheed Martin had over 20% as now, when the market is still even actively trading today. We've seen Northrop Grumman 16% and RTX about 6%. So this is very, very likely pointing to a Lockheed. That's my opinion. You don't have to believe this. You don't have to even use this information for anything. But on Stocker Team, that's what we do to actually open the eyes of investors to get much more guidance, much more coaching, much more in-depth, analysis, research-based way of investing. Because at the end of the day, you are just what you know, and you are what you actually understand about the market. That's all for this episode. And if you have just joined us for the first time, this is Stocker Team, the Investors Channel. We want to have you join us as a premium member to actually get much more coaching, much more guidance. And like I said, we'll be launching our website, and this website is going to be a game changer, just like the Discombobulator. So what do you think about the Discombobulator? Do you actually think this device, this secret weapon, is going to change the game of play? Is going to put the US as the perhaps one of the most feared military might in the world? The US is undoubtedly the most powerful military power in the world, but this is a game changer. If we get more information as to what happened, this could actually change the game of play. Take care and bye-bye. I'll see you in the next one. Keep investing, keep growing. Bye.